and we are going to be going up, up, up. So you can see the live shot right there where we have mostly cloudy skies, but eventually that heat will catch up to us here in the Northeast. Check out the numbers here. We've got mid to upper 80s as we progress through the week. Lots of sunshine all the way through Thursday. We may cloud up a little bit by the end of the week. Certainly by Saturday, more clouds, but the heat is still with us. We're pushing 90 degrees, which actually is about right for this time of the year. Typically, we are seeing our first 90-degree day by either late May or early June, which of course we're going into now. So there's that ridge, that jet stream visiting Canada way up there north of the Great Lakes region. That's where we're pumping up that heat all across the Midwest. Low pressure, though, on the other hand, it's been keeping it very cool across the southern end of the Appalachian Trail that goes from Springer Mountain all the way to Maine. And you can see that low kind of still spinning out there. So that's providing the clouds and the showers and keeping our temperatures on the cooler side. So as you can see right now, we're starting off rather chilly, especially over New England. You guys have frost advisories in effect for the northern parts of New Hampshire and Maine. It's only 44 in Caribou, but we're heating up to 80 degrees by the afternoon. But even warmer back here across the plains in the Midwest, Chicago, 87 degrees for your high temperature, 87 Indianapolis, and even down into Kentucky. We're going to see those highs in the low to mid 80s. Tomorrow, we keep the heat around. Really, there's nothing that's going to change between now and the weekend. We're going to keep it above average from Minneapolis to Chicago, and even more people will be experiencing those temperatures above average. In fact, we're going to really heat it up by Friday, 150 million above average. And within that, there's going to be a lot of us above 80 degrees. There's that ridge kind of spreading out across the Great Lakes, down south as well, and even into the Northeast. We're going to start to feel that warmer air, places like Burlington on the shores of Lake Champlain, warming up those Adirondack lakes this time of year, 15 to 20 degrees above average in Detroit, all the way down through the Ohio Valley. We're going to be flirting with 90 degrees in many spots. But as I mentioned, this is the time of year, even in the Midwest, we typically see our first 90-degree day, right around the end of May. So, Steph, this is pretty much on time for a lot of folks.
America.
Good Tuesday morning. Let's go traveling across the mid-Atlantic, central United States, where we do have still some pockets of showers and even some thunderstorms out there on this early Tuesday. Big blob of moisture showing up just offshore of the Carolinas, but you can see more moisture kind of being spiraled in around that area of low pressure and pointed right at portions of Virginia, where, by the way, there's been some flash flooding overnight on the southwestern side of Virginia. Most of the heavy thunderstorms are just offshore, but Norfolk, you've got clouds, 62, clouds from D.C. all the way to Charleston in South Carolina. Fortunately, the winds are not going to be quite as gusty as they have been because the winds were also responsible for several delays yesterday. Today, it's not going to be as bad, but there will be some rain. So that in itself could cause some delays like Raleigh-Durham, down in Myrtle Beach and Charleston. Not quite done yet with those pockets of showers. And then you get the more organized chance for severe weather on the high plains today. We're going from Colorado all the way down to the panhandles of Texas and Oklahoma. Gusty winds and also frequent lightning, possibly some hail. Minneapolis has already had some wet weather this morning, and we'll have another round coming in later this evening. Jordan?
Well, Kathleen,
strength that far away.
Yeah.
Well, millions of Americans do need to keep their guards up during hurricane season. However, along the Gulf Coast, one state has been hit by these fierce storms time and time again. Meteorologist Chris Warren explains why Louisiana is a hurricane hotspot. Early morning thunderstorm here in Minneapolis, where I'm standing. Thanks to our virtual view technology, I'm at the Commons Park. We will have mostly cloudy skies for the remainder of the morning, but then a round of showers and storms. That will hit us by the afternoon. So look for those darkening skies. Make sure you get indoors. Be careful traveling the 35 corridor because that rain will be heavy. It's going to be difficult to see, and it could cause some ponding out on the ground, on the sidewalk, and especially on the roadways. Temperatures, though, they're going to be toasty. Yesterday's high all the way way up to 88 degrees. We should be in the low to mid 70s this time of the year. As you can see, the radar, though, pretty active, although the lightning has gone away. So that's a sign of some weakening with that rain showers. It's moving right through the downtown area and southward. And that's just the morning round. We'll see another round developing by the afternoon with that daytime heating Jordan just talked about. So this is an approximation of where the storms may be as we look to the radar at about 4 o'clock this afternoon. Those darker reds indicating some of the heavier downpours, possibly some small hail going along with that rain, and even gusty winds. Look for this next round to come through late tonight after the sun sets, midnight hour, and then kind of fizzling out as we go into early Wednesday. Same thing with Kansas. I know we need the rain, but we could see some issues when it comes to the weather, possibly some gusty winds. Always watch out for the lightning if you're doing any traveling along I-70 here in Kansas. There's where your big storms are going to start to show up here late at night, 9, 10 o'clock, moving eastward toward Dodge City and then kind of falling apart as we lose that daytime heating, and overnight those storms tend to weaken. Nebraska, good cloud shield right there over the eastern side of the state. Hardly any rain, though, going on. We could use the rain here in Nebraska, too. And we're going to see it as we go through the afternoon, especially between North Platte, Grand Island, Norfolk, Nebraska. Here come those bigger storms really starting to fire up here at about 11 o'clock tonight. Kids may be jumping in bed with you with that thunder rumbling outside, rumbling the window panes here. And Kansas City, another city where we're going to kind of wait on that daytime heating, and then the storms start to show up by the evening time frame and then basically fizzle out as we go through the overnight hours. So, Steph, that's basically the name of the game, right? Afternoon, evening, and then they die down. Feeling it in the next couple of days. A place like Pittsburgh, where temperatures were above average yesterday into the low 80s, we should be low 70s this time of the year. As we check on the forecast, we see plenty of sunshine today, tomorrow. The only bad thing about all the sun, we need the rain. We're down more than 3 inches for the year. Much of Pennsylvania pretty much dry, and even Friday and Saturday, while we will see a few more clouds, look at the heat. It kind of sticks around 80s and even 90 degrees, which is actually right for this time of year. Usually it's late May, early June when we typically see our first 90-degree reading. Ridge of high pressure basically visiting Canada today. You see the jet stream well to the north. That's allowing all this heat to build, first of all, around the plains in the upper Midwest and then spreading eastward. Now, what's weird is we've had that low pressure keeping things on the cooler side. We've had several days where places like Minneapolis, Chicago, even Boston have all been warmer than Atlanta, Georgia this week. And the Carolinas, you guys were stuck in the 50s and low 60s over the weekend with that cloud cover and the rain. Temperatures this morning are a bit chilly. We have frost advisories in effect northern New Hampshire, southern Maine, but we'll warm up nicely even there. Temperatures a little bit above average, but we're really above average over here. Across the northern plains and the upper Midwest, we are pushing 90 degrees in a lot of locations. You got the Cubs and the White Sox both playing at home. They're both evening games, thankfully, when the sun goes down, but you can see it is still going to be hot out there by the lakes tomorrow and now pressing into the northeast as well, where millions more will be dealing with temperatures above average. 122 million by Thursday, and even more than that as we head towards Friday from basically the Midwest into the northeast. Southeast, we're actually going to get back to average, back to where we should be this time of the year. But where you see that heat focus is mainly from the Great Lakes into the northeast. That's where we're going to be flirting even with some record temperatures, with those temperatures all the way into the 90s from St. Louis to Cincinnati, and yes, even over towards D.C. as well. So you can see we're pretty much on target, right on schedule when we typically see our first 90-degree reading of the year. It's usually late May to beginning of June, but we have seen it earlier. Some of you even as early as March. Those are some hot years, right? But every dot on this map represents where we have the potential to either tie or break records. A place like Concord getting awfully close, but Burlington, if we get to 92 on Thursday, that will be enough for a new record, Jordan.
All right, Kelly, thanks.
If you are traveling today after Memorial Day, we're in pretty good shape so far. No delays at the airports. However, there are a few spots in the country where there could be some weather-related delays. Of course, you'll have plenty of volume, too, on this day after Memorial Day. We do have some clouds and some showers, the worst of it just offshore of the Outer Banks. But still, even onshore, we're going to be dealing with the periodic rain showers, maybe even rumbles of thunder. Just yesterday, we had some flooding problems in the southwestern part of Virginia and even southern West Virginia, some flash flooding going on there as well. So this low pressure still hanging out top edge of it. That's where we're seeing that onshore flow, and therefore the clouds, the showers, and even the thunderstorms that will be possible impacting that ride along I-95. There's Raleigh right in the middle of all that, up towards Elizabeth City, and yes, even southeastern Virginia. There's still going to be that chance for some downpours. Severe weather, though, that's more likely across the plains, along with that flash flood threat. Main threat will be damaging winds, and there could be some pretty big hail coming out of these storms later today. Jordan?
Well, Kelly,
in the fall, when those waters are plenty warm enough. Well, millions of Americans do need to keep their guards up during hurricane season. However, along the Gulf Coast, one state has been hit by these fierce storms time and time again. Meteorologist Chris Warren explains why Louisiana is a hurricane hotspot. Well, thankfully, over the next 5 days, 7 days even, we're not expecting any development here in the Atlantic Basin. But, Jordan, once again, hurricane season starts the day after tomorrow.
Yes, it does.
Right? Loud thunder, possibly some loud hail, too. And thanks to our virtual view technology, I'm actually standing in Minneapolis at the Commons Park. We've already had some rain here, and we've got more thunderstorms on the way. But there will be some sunshine in between. Just watch out, though, because these storms, when they do roll through the Twin Cities, it's going to be teeming out there. I mean, pouring. You can barely see right in front of you, puddles forming on the ground and possibly on the roadway that you're trying to travel across. So it's going to be toasty. You've got the humidity on the high side as well. Yesterday's high all the way into the upper 80s. That is definitely not right for this time of the year and this far north. We should be in the low to mid 70s this time of year in late May. You can see the showers that we've already had this morning. So the roads definitely a little damp out there this morning, especially south of there around Bloomington and the Mall of America, where the rain was a little bit heavier. Here's a look at our future radar, showing you an approximation of where those storms may hit. Looks like they're pretty fierce as we get towards 3, 4 o'clock this afternoon. The embedded darker red in there showing us the heavier rain and the potential for some gusty winds with these storms as they move on through. Then the sun goes down. It's dark. You're trying to sleep. And then this happens. This is the midnight hour. More storms rolling in from St. Cloud to St. Paul into Minneapolis. And then we get a little bit of a break during the overnight hours. We need the rain desperately here in Kansas. But unfortunately, along with the rain, there will also be that severe potential. We're talking about large hail. Make sure everything is put away. The cars are put away. Keep an eye on the animals. Let them come inside. You've got these big storms rolling across Garden City by about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock tonight, kind of fizzling out though as we head toward the overnight hours, as these storms tend to do when they lose that daytime heating. Cloud shield all over Nebraska right now, but not much rain. We do need the rain though here in Nebraska, and we'll see that kind of fill in along Interstate 80 between North Platte, Grand Island. You've got Kearney in between. Here come those bigger cells as we move toward 10 or 11 o'clock tonight. Any one of these storms could produce some large hail. Damaging winds over 60 miles an hour cannot be ruled out. Same thing for Kansas City. Jordan just showed you an active radar here. So we've got some showers this morning. We'll see another round as we head towards late this afternoon toward the evening time frame. Steph?
All right, let's talk about all the
sea. And it is going to feel like summer, not just in the south, but parts of the Northeast too, like Pittsburgh, where we saw 80s yesterday, above average. It's only going to get warmer over the next several days. We're going to be pushing 90 at times. So yes, let's take a look at our forecast featuring the warm temperatures. We should be low to mid 70s for late May, beginning of June. You can see by the beginning of June, lots of sunshine, 88 degrees. We go toward the weekend and we are still like right around 90 degrees despite increased cloud cover. No rainfall, even though we do need the rain. Pittsburgh, you're down more than 3 inches for the year. So it's very dry. It's very parched out there. We've got nothing but heat showing up on the map here, starting off in the Midwest and then eventually finding its way into the Northeast. It has to do with the position of our jet stream visiting Canada well to the north of the Great Lakes. Meanwhile, you've got that low keeping things so chilly across the Carolinas into Georgia, where over the weekend we struggled to even get out of the 50s. That's how chilly it was with that east wind off the water. Boston, same thing for you. You're going to have that east wind keeping you on the cooler side, but everywhere else we're starting off in the 60s and on our way to the mid and upper 80s in some cases, pushing 90 in St. Louis. Boston, there's your cool spot. DC getting up to 77 degrees. degrees. But compare that, 85 degrees over towards Pittsburgh, and it gets even warmer as we head through tomorrow. These temperatures are not just above average. They will be flirting with records in some cases. But look at the millions of us above average, 95 million tomorrow, and you can see more than that on Thursday. And then by Friday, the 2nd of June, it's going to be 150 million above average. And within that, many of you above 80 degrees. So there's the warmth spreading out all over the Northeast. Southeast, you actually get back to average for this time of the year. But otherwise, it is all about that heat all around the Great Lakes, warming up the pools this time of the year. That's a good thing, right? Those lake temperatures still kind of chilly. And look at your highs by Friday, lots of 80s and even low 90s. Typically, our first 90-degree reading for a place like Minneapolis is right about now, about today. You've got May 30th, but it has been earlier than that in previous years. For Detroit, Chicago, it's usually the beginning of June. So we're pretty much right on schedule in terms of getting this kind of warmth. But for upstate New York and parts of New England, it's going to be a little too much. You can see it's actually flirting with records here. Burlington getting up to 92. If we get there, that will beat the old record of 90 on Thursday. Binghamton looking to tie a record at 86 degrees and continuing that record potential as we head towards Friday. All the dots from the Northeast into the Midwest. We're also here in the Northeast, Jordan, we're typically looking at that first 90-degree reading of the year.
All right.
On this Tuesday after the holiday weekend. So far, so good. No delays being reported. However, there could be some weather-related delays due to this low pressure that is still churning off the coast here, spreading showers and occasional thunderstorms to northern Virginia. Southwestern Virginia, by the way, hit hard by flash flooding late last night, and southern West Virginia as well. There were reports of an RV park that was affected by that flood. There are your lightning strikes and heavy rain, mainly offshore, but notice that east wind coming onshore around the top of this low pressure system. So at times you will be impacted by that, especially if you're doing any traveling on I-95. The Outer Banks of North Carolina also prone to the showers and occasional thunderstorms as well. And speaking of storms, the ones in the plains could actually be strong, if not severe, watching Nebraska to Kansas, all the way down to the Oklahoma and Texas panhandles. Can't rule out isolated tornadoes, Jordan, but mainly wind and large hail.
Well, sadly,